Good evening, earthquake fans. It is Thursday, September 26th at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time, and my update today includes more forecasting. I'm still waiting on my potential 5.5 or likely 5 to 6 magnitude quake to strike in California within the next 6 days. And I'm still, of course, kicking myself for not forecasting half of the globe prior to Puerto Rico ripping off its 6.0 and numerous 5-level quakes since the last couple days. However, I will try to work my way up to the point that I'm crazy enough to attempt an all-out global forecast of earthquakes. But not yet, though. I'm not going to do that yet. It's a huge endeavor to tackle that, a whole global forecast. Takes a lot of time. I mean, it takes hours and hours of studying everywhere to see what quakes have already struck, what quakes are new, what quakes are old, where the energy's going, what are the antipodes. It's a lot of work. And one thing I've learned doing this is that sometimes you'll forecast a quake, and as you're forecasting the quake and you're getting ready to brag about it and say, oh, I see this quake coming, boom, it strikes before you can talk about it. So that happens sometimes, but I'm not ready to do that just yet. But I will work my way up to the point that I'm crazy enough to do it. And just for now, I'll try my hands on a few hot spots. So Indonesia, as usual, was smacked with a 6.5 magnitude quake because Indonesia always seems to get hit with large quakes. Let's see if I can find it here on this earthquake 3D map. They were hit somewhere. Oh, I see it right there. 6.5, 5.4, 4.6, 5.0, 4.6, 4.6, 5.1 over here. Lots of quake activity in Indonesia. That happened last night, roughly about 24 hours ago. And of course, Puerto Rico has been a hotspot long before the 6.3 quake that was dropped to a 6.0 quake. Puerto Rico has been showing signs of lots of activity. And in fact, I remember somewhere around August 29th, my last SoCal forecast that dropped the ball, whatever you want to call it. I was looking for a 5.5, probably about the same size quake as I'm waiting for right now. I tracked it in the Alaska area, and then it went into the Juan de Fuca, the energy. And then as it was going down, I was able to track all the tremors in the state of California jumped up. I was able to track it, go down in here. Of course, the usual culprit, Ridgecrest. Ridgecrest jumped up in a bunch of larger size quakes, this whole area here. And then nothing popped. I didn't get my big earthquake pop. And I was like, what? And then I looked down, and then in Mexico, it started to get an increase in energy, and then it went silent again. And it jumped right over here where Puerto Rico just had its 6.0, 6.3, whatever you want to call it. It jumped right through here, disappeared, and then right here at the mid-Atlantic ridge, it smacked a 5.9. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I literally tracked the energy traveling all the way through the Juan de Fuca and the San Andreas into Mexico, and it didn't pop anywhere in this area. And then it let loose right at the mid-Atlantic ridge and disappeared. But it did pop that 5.9, and I think that was around August 29th through September 1st or so. Somewhere around there. So it happened. So Puerto Rico at that time was on fire. There were all kinds of earthquakes, 3, 4 magnitude earthquakes had been popping left and right a month ago. And so it doesn't surprise me they just got smacked with the 6.3. And as such, since that happened and Puerto Rico keeps on popping off these quakes, I look for more activity in the 5, the 4, and the 5 magnitude range. Some would call them aftershocks, but I see more coming. Right now, it looks like the last 12 hours or so, mostly 3.0 level events, but I'd say anywhere between 3 and 5, that probably will continue. Maybe if my 5.5 doesn't strike SoCal, it might pop in Puerto Rico again, or it might pop in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge again, or it might go further south and get in here into South America, Chile, Ecuador, Peru. Okay, so that's possible. I'm looking personally over here in Colombia, Venezuela, and Ecuador area. I'm looking for a low 5. I'm looking for a 5.2 to strike within about the next 3 to 7 days. And that's coming off of the Indonesia's recent 6.5 smacker. And that's another term for earthquake. The Chile-Argentina border today was hit with a 6.1. And before I could even react to the antipode of that, China was hit in the Kunlun Mountains with a 4.8. And I mean, it was rapid. I'm talking within probably 30 minutes of this earthquake striking. The antipode location was hit with a 4.8. And a little bit further north, upstream, Chile was also struck with a 5.4 today. And I did not get an antipode hit on that yet. So I'll be looking for a 4.1 over here in China, maybe a little bit south. Okay, disregard these dots because that didn't happen after. That happened before. So I'm looking for a 4.1 to strike in this area, a little bit further to the east of China and a little bit further south, closer to the plate boundaries. Of course, it could strike the exact same location, but hey, I want to make this a little more challenging and try to get more specific and detail-oriented and see, is it right? Is it wrong? But if you get the 4.1, 4.0, 4.3, you know I'm on the right track anyway. But I do think it'll be a little bit more central and south and a little bit closer to the plate boundary there in China and India. And hey, you know what? I got a hit today. I almost forgot this. I got a hit today on my expected 5.4 Vanuatu shaker. I had set a 72-hour warning, and we're 3 days into this. And sometimes I have a tendency to say 72-hour warning, and what I really mean is 3 to 7 days is really what I mean. But for best accuracy, I think 72 hours is the best to go with. But I got a 5.4 right at the Solomon Islands. It's next to Vanuatu. And also, Vanuatu received the 4.5. So, it wasn't a 5.4, but it was a 4.5, and it's smack dab right. Was looking for a 5.4. So, the 5.4 went a 5.1. My apologies, a 5.1. Football toss away in the Solomon Islands. And I was looking for it to strike right here in Vanuatu, and I got my 4.5 anyway. So I'll consider that a satisfactory hit. Could have been better, but I'm taking that. So let's see. So where does this leave us? You know, I'm on a roll with some forecasts. Not yet in Southern California. Not yet in Central California, where I'm still looking for a 5.5 possibility. Maybe it's up to a 6. I don't see it any bigger than that yet, unless the San Andreas ripped something by surprise. But this was literally today all about antipode forecasts. And so far, the SoCal has been off the mark. It just has. I haven't seen much. I've seen some weird, this 3.6 in Nevada, and this 2.7 in Holtville, California. And then this is a weird one out in the Yukon Mountains at the McKenzie Mountains in Yukon, Canada. A 4.2 struck, which was a little bit odd because it usually does not go this far inland. So That may qualify as an antipode hit, although I really don't like to say that. But you've got to base it on the best antipode earthquake research out there done by by Oregon State University researchers. And basically, the antipode earthquakes are likely to happen within 30 degrees of the pinpoint antipode. So that's what the research says. I don't like to go with it because technically if I go with the pinpoint antipode for my 5.5 in SoCal, I should be offshore in Southern California. But there's some new research, and I'll probably get into more detail on another video very soon. There's some new research out there that shows hot streaks, and the seismologists are real big on hot streaks. And so let's say, for example, I filter this out to say all magnitudes. If I do all magnitudes, you'll see there's so many more quakes, right? Well, all these locations with all these quakes, that would be considered a hot streak. So when I say that I'm concerned about the San Andreas, well, here's why. It's hot streaks. It's all about this creep. This is the central San Andreas, and this is all in the last 24 hours. 1.8, 1.8, 2.2, 2.2, 1.2, 1.7, 2.2. Okay, so that part is streaking. That's what Puerto Rico was doing before it ripped its earthquake recently, a couple days ago. Then, of course, you got the southern San Andreas. This has been streaking for years. We're talking probably 3-4 years now. It has just been going crazy. So hopefully this doesn't pop anything major anytime soon. But you've got the San Andreas has been active. And, of course, the Cozo Junction here has been chock full of seismic energy since June. And, of course, here in the Mammoth Mountain area as well. I mean, this is just another streaky area. So the research is coming out basically saying that when you see these pockets of a lot of quakes, these are where you want to assume quakes are going to continue. You know, you don't want to just randomly go to Woodland over here and you don't see any activity. No, go where the magnet is. Go where the hotspot is. Where all the other quakes are, you want to be over there. So even though I called for a 5.5 in SoCal, you look at it, there's probably quakes out here that aren't being reported. But since nothing has been happening out here, why would I randomly expect a pop here? It's possible, but why would I randomly expect a pop here when I could just bring it inland, go right along the San Andreas where all the other quakes are, and go right into Cozo Junction where all the other quakes are? It just makes more sense. So that's why I'm bringing my 5.5 in here, and I'm basing it on antipode research. And so far has not happened. Still got about 5 days left, although I'm not going to kid you here. The more time that goes by where I don't see evidence of this thing happening, the less confident I get. So I'm got to keep the warning going because 7 days is 7 days. That's what it is. And sometimes that happens. The frustrating part with earthquake forecasting is sometimes you have to wait for the energy that you saw. You have to wait and be patient. And when you open your mouth too soon, now you have an audience that has to wait and be patient. And it can drive everybody crazy sometimes. So still got to wait for our 5.5. Oh, what is this? Okay, hold on a second. What just popped? We just got a little shaker here. 2.4 in Trona. Okay. Not going to get it done. I'm looking for the 5 plus. But again, you got to be patient. It can be a little frustrating. I get it. But we'll see what happens. I seem to have been on the right path for a bunch of other forecasts, and SoCal seems to be a thorn in my side. And so we'll just have to wait and see. And with that said, I'll wrap it up with this particular video, and I'll come back with some more research, a little less forecasting on the next video, and more research on the latest seismic events. All right, so have a good night, and we'll be in touch. And please subscribe, and thank you for adding my channel.